Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Eddie. Eddie is from New York City in the USA. So let's see what Eddie has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Eddie. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you. So, Eddie, tell me, how's your day going so far?
Everything is going well. Got in a workout and now I'm talking to you.
Amazing. Do you consider yourself to be more a day or night person?
De-
Day person?
Mhm.
Always been?
Definitely. I teach classes, so my alarm sometimes goes off at 4:40 in the morning. And so like today I didn't have to work, but I still was up by 8 a.m. So it is what it is.
Yeah, so tell me, what do you do for work, for living, Eddie?
So I teach fitness classes at a company called Equinox, but
Okay.
I also do personal training on fitness apps. So you go and you audition, and then you do a certain amount of workouts, and they'll use that and put that on their apps. So I'm on those as well. So my life is pretty much fitness.
Fitness. So tell me a little bit about those apps. How does it work? So people, there is an app that you are registered. How? Tell me about it.
It depends on the app. For example, like the Equinox app, I was on their app doing live classes. So during the pandemic, they hired me to do classes that the members could do while they're anywhere. So say they didn't want to be in New York City because New York City, when it shut down, just there was nothing to do, and our apartments aren't super big, whatever. So a lot of people went to their summer places or they went to their families. And so they wanted the members to still have access to workouts. So I was being paid to do live classes. So we had a designated area. They would do weekly COVID tests for us, and we had to only work with a certain group of people. So there were only like 10 of us working, and we would
Wow.
just rotate taking each other's classes. So I did that for them. But I also is on an app called DB Method, and the way DB Method works is they'll hire you for a certain amount of classes. So they'll say, we'll pay you X amount of money if you give us 10 classes. So that one, it's a completely different pay structure. And so what they do is the classes aren't live, they're recorded, and they can use them for as long as they want.
I see. And do you think nowadays, with the world back to normal again, those apps still kind of are busy? People they get too busy somehow.
Yeah, I think people fall in love with instructors. So what sometimes happens is even though they have access to a gym now, they'll still use their instructor as well. For
I
example,
see.
I have a woman who she now has access to Equinox, but she still does classes that I was doing on my Instagram.
I
She did one today. Yeah, either today or yesterday, because she always puts a comment and then I respond, oh, you took the class or whatever. And so she commented today because she has a summer house. So when she's in New York City, she'll go to class in person, but when she's at her summer house with her family, she takes my classes on my Instagram.
Amazing. My goodness, you are a busy man, I can see.
But it's good. Who doesn't want to be busy? You don't want to be idle because then you get into trouble.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And where are you from, Eddie?
Originally, New York State, not New York City.
Mhm.
Um, I was born in Yonkers. It's right above the Bronx
Okay.
um, suburbs. And then when I was about 1 or 2 years old, my mother and father moved me upstate New York. It's called Sullivan County. The town is called Liberty, to a small town.
I see. But now, right now, you are in the city or you are in New York City right now?
Yeah, I went to NYU and I never left. I'm in New York City. Yeah, I've been in New York City ever since.
Amazing. Okay, so through the game, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your career and also about your point of views, okay?
Okay.
Before we start our journey, Will in the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself.
Something interesting about myself. I studied abroad in high school and college. So that's
right?
something that you may not know. So I studied in France in high school and in college because I just fell in love with the language while I was in high school.
Wow. And you speak the language as well right now?
Parle français, je peux parler français avec toi. Si tu veux parler français, nous pouvons parler. No, pas du tout?
No.
Okay. We'll stick to English.
Amazing. My goodness. I love it. You know what? During the lockdown, when the world went upside down, yeah, I, of course, I'd always be in love with the language as well. French. My best friend is French, but he lives in Canada.
Ah,
My godson is French as well. I mean, Canadian, but his parents they are from France. And so I started doing Duolingo, the app. So I started watching movies, online classes. That kept me busy for a while during the lockdown. But the Magic Box started, and everything just took my 24 hours time. So now,
and you were like, forget this.
actually, but Eddie, I still
So,
want to go back and get in myself. Like, I still want to be able to actually talk the way you just did right now. Be able to or no to deal with a conversation, to be able to live, speaking French.
the way you would work out, set it up so you say, all right, this week I'm going to put in my calendar 3 times for 30 minutes. Nothing major, nothing big. Don't do an hour and a half or anything like that. Something small. Or maybe even start with 2 times for 15 minutes. And then that way you have a goal. And then you say, okay, so for this week, I'm going to practice 2 times, 15 minutes, not that much. You can do that. And then you practice those, and then little by little you extend the time, and then that way you find yourself back, or you find yourself exactly where you want to be because you actually prioritize it, as opposed to just being like, I want to do it, I'm going to do it next week, I'm going to do it next month. I hear that all the time in fitness, so it's the same.
Absolutely. And I would like as well to spend some time living, in France or in Canada, somewhere where I hear and, can see every single day the language as well, which helps a lot. That's one of
It
my.
does, but don't necessarily say that's when I'll push myself to start, because who knows when you'll be able to have that opportunity. You know what I mean? So even this week you could say, okay, this week I'm gonna set one day because it's already Monday. So you say, okay, I'm gonna set one day this week for 15 minutes that I'm gonna do it. And then literally we hang up, you put it in your calendar. And so then that way you have to stick to it. And then next week you say, okay, I'll do two, and then you stick with that. And once that becomes easy, then you add 10 minutes to it, or you add another 15-minute another time, and then you'll get to where you want to go if you honestly and you really want to be there.
Eddie, you are guiding me now. You are literally guiding me.
Hey, you have to hold yourself accountable, or things will never take place. So.
That's so true. That's so true. Eddie, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Let's go.
Amazing.
Let me get my seatbelt. Okay.
Put a seatbelt for it not to fall apart.
Exactly. Oh, I need that one. I need the two. Oh no.
You don't need.
Now
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Very light. The joint is not that rush. It's gonna go flat.
Okay, I hope so. Because I did this one and you were like, this one.
Just to scare you a little bit.
Right.
Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got to hear my best. From the fun questions. So I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Is it Beyonce?
You know what? Actually, she's been already.
Get excited.
She's been already in the Magic Box. She's been here already on the show.
Are you serious?
I wish. One day.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Actually, when I was checking your profile a little bit, I could see you in her concert. I was like, you're so close.
Wait, did you see everything?
No.
Beyonce.com posted me.
Really?
So the guy, while I'm sitting there, he comes up and he's like, hey, can I take a picture of you for Beyonce.com? And I was like, sure. But I've done media, so I know some things make it and some things are edited out, or on the cutting room floor, we say. And I was working out the next day at the gym, and one of my friends sent me a comment. He's like, hey, Beyonce.com posted you. I was like, what? So I went to her website, and sure enough, she had posted me. So that is on my Instagram too, like how she posted me.
Oh my God, I'm gonna check it out after that.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's gonna be a reel, and you'll see where it just says Beyonce, her name. And if you click that reel, you'll see where she posted me.
oh my God.
I
When I
was I got so excited. I actually could not concentrate at the gym anymore. I ended up leaving and didn't finish my
of
workout.
course.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a moment. My
Yeah.
goodness. Is the show was in New York City? This show?
It was in Jersey, but right by New York City. It's called MetLife Stadium.
I see. Amazing. My goodness. Beyonce, one day she'll be here. One day for sure. I can't wait.
And when you have her on, you make sure I pop out as a special guest.
I'm gonna go like Beyonce. Actually, I just have a little surprise for you. I'm gonna put another
Exactly.
microphone right now with us, just for a minute, just to say hello to you. Imagine. Oh
Right.
my, oh my
Don't be
goodness.
mad if I freeze up though. Yeah, you might be like, I think he went on mute.
Oh dear. Let's do it. Hey Yeti, so before we start the game, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, some reason you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Thank you.
First question for you is, what motivates you the most in life? Beyonce. Okay.
No. I think I'm self-motivated. I feel like when my parents were both living, a lot of it was also to demonstrate to them that I'm doing what they set me up to do, being desirous of making them proud. And with them both no longer being alive, you kind of take on that self motivation on your own and recognize that um, you have to find your purpose and find out not only what you want to do, but why you want to do it. Kind of referring back to what we were talking about of you speaking French. You may say, oh, this is something that I want to do. But until you really home in on the why and then use that to motivate you to keep moving, then it's harder to jumpstart. And so what I try to do is not only tell myself what I want to do, but really recognize and either write down or have it imprinted in my mind why I want to do it. Because that why is that motivating factor that will keep me going and press me forward.
And you always had this way of approaching life?
No, I think when my parents were alive, I was very desirous of, making them happy. Like my mom, I'm the youngest, and all of us graduated undergrad, but no one had gotten another um, degree. And so when I got my master's from NYU, I wanted to show my mom. She wanted me to see my diploma. She was very big into education. She was one of the first Black biochemists to be published. And so education was everything in our home. And so she was in the hospital already with cancer, and I brought the diploma from New York City, but I stopped off at my house where I grew up first, and then I went to the hospital. I forgot the diploma on the kitchen table. So that was like a Sunday. And, I'm working, so I couldn't stay. So I go, hey, I'm going to drive back down because where I grew up is about 2.5 hours from New York City. I said, I'll come back on Wednesday, but I'll go home first. I'll get the diploma and I'll bring it back. So we got to spend time together. I fed her like we were enjoying one another's company, but I didn't have the diploma. And she passed away the next day. So I never got to show it to her. So it was something that I regretted for such a long time because that was one of my motivating factors, was to graduate with my master's and show her that I did that because it's something she wanted me to do. So you start to take those things on yourself once you don't have those people in your lives that are necessarily driving you. I'm not married, I don't have kids, so someone that has a wife or has children, usually that's their purpose, their motivating factor. I don't have that, so.
Yes, I believe. Thanks for sharing this, this personal event. And I think, those um, sometimes those situations happen to us and keep us thinking, wondering why it went this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For example, in your case, like you forgot the diploma there, and I'm sure for you it wasn't easy to do that for a while until you kind of, you know, but I believe, Ed, that everything happens. There's a reason behind. There's something behind, even though we don't see the mesh or we don't understand, or we're never gonna understand. But there is something, and I'm sure I'm gonna goosebump now. I'm sure whatever she is right now, I'm sure she knows that, and I'm sure you know that very well anyway. But yeah, it's those moments that we cannot explain somehow.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
next question. Let's do it.
Yep.
Okay, next question for you is, what was the biggest punishment have you ever received?
um, so I used to play piano competitively, like when I was a kid, and so it wasn't when if you practice, it was when are you practicing, and I was being um, not the best kid and practicing as often as I should. And I probably got my worst spanking from my mom. Yeah.
And
So that's one punishment I will never, ever forget.
but did you like playing piano at the time? It was a
I,
passion?
I, I did and I didn't. Like, I did love the music. It was something that she did. She played the piano for our church. Like my mom was in the choir director and my dad was the deacon in the church. So I did enjoy it. And my sister, she passed away too, but she was 10 years older than me. And she played. So it was kind of like going in the footsteps of my mother and my sister. So that respect I did like. But my brother, who's also older than me, was huge into sports. And, I kind of wanted to do more of the sport thing. So I ended up breaking one of my fingers or spraining a finger or something like that. And that's kind of how I transitioned out of piano and more into sports.
I see. Do you think was the right choice?
Yeah, well, the woman she was a girl at the time, but she's now a woman, obviously. She went on to be a concert pianist and went to Cornell so like that was the track that I was supposed to go on. So she ended up continuing it and I stopped and went into sports. So who knows what could have happened, but yeah.
I see. Okay. Next question. Before the next one, as you could tell how much you are close to your family. Well, you were well educated. You have always some opportunities. Your parents, they were there for you. But for you growing up as a gay boy, how was it your experience? If you could share,
Coming out to my family.
like
Is that
no, overall, like how was for you growing up as a gay boy? Like, for example,
well, I wasn't really like a gay boy growing up. Like I didn't come out until later.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't until I was in school, not even really undergrad, more grad. Um, yeah, I don't remember. I know I told my sister first,
Uh-huh.
um, and I told her to promise not to tell mommy and daddy. I'm like, do not tell them. And she didn't tell them, but she did tell my aunt, my godmother. But I didn't find that out that she had told her until she died. So in conversing with my cousin, who I'm super close with, she's like my sister as well. We're only a year and a half apart. She told me that Cynthia, that was my sister's name, had told my aunt, her mother. Um, but she didn't tell my parents. And then I did tell my mom eventually. That was really tough. I did it over the phone. And then my dad, he confronted me. So he like asked me, was I? And then, I grew up very religious, so he wanted to take me to, he's like, oh, we're going to pull you out of school and take you to conversion therapy, like through the church. And that's when I put my foot down and I was like, this is it. This is who or what I am. And if you can't accept me, then, whatever, like that's on you. And so it was not easy for either one of them, but my mom took it better.
I see. But you always knew that you were gay?
I knew I had feelings, like you see certain pictures growing up or you have certain attractions, but I never acted on it until I was older.
I see. Okay. Next question for you is, who has been the most influential person in your life and why?
Probably my parents, both of them, my mom and dad. They were together 37 years until my mom died, and then my dad died after her. My moral compass was definitely, growing up extremely religious, I would tell stories to friends that when you do media, and I mean, you're doing a form of media, like I did this music video, and the director, took a liking to me and was using me more than it was intended. And the guy that was like supposed to be the star of the video was like, oh, you got a lot of attention, you did really well. He goes, oh, you should come to my agency. And I was like, oh, sure, I'll come, because you could have representation from different people, whatever. And when I get there and then they're talking, my scheduled time, I realize that it's porn. Yeah.
Oh.
So he brought me to a porn agent. And, because of, and at that time, my parents were still alive too. Like, I would never do that, because just of their influence on me. One time in a club, I was hired as, so like, you pay an entrance to get into a club, and then they had a dark room in the club. So like guys can go into the back room and mess around with guys that they can pay. And so, yeah, and they hired me to be the second entrance. So they would have to pay me to go into the room with the guys. And so, I'm there with no shirt, I'm young, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And this one guy goes in, then he comes back out and he's like, oh, when are you going to be in the back? And I was like, being, cheeky, as you say, I'm like, oh, you couldn't afford me. Oh. Pauses and he goes, $1,000. And this is back when I'm in my 20s. So this is a while ago. So I'm in school, NYU. NYU is not cheap if you know New York University life. And my mind is like, you need the money. But also my mind is saying your parents would kill you. And I didn't do it, so I think my parents were extremely influential because a lot of decisions, undergrad, I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't start drinking alcohol until I was in grad school, and I still don't really drink that much. I didn't even really chew gum. It was just things that, my mom didn't wear makeup. She only wore skirts. Like, she didn't wear pants. She didn't wear jeans. Like, we grew up religious. Like, vacations were going to like a church camp. You know what I mean? But that's what I knew, and I liked it because that's what I knew. So, yeah, definitely my parents.
Beautiful, beautiful answer. Next question, Eddie. Let's do it. Next question is, what can make you cry and what can make you really happy?
Cry, I mean, I could be triggered by a lot of things based off of experiences that have happened in my life. Like, I remember I was on a date with a guy and he took me to see what's the movie where the little kid, he's not a little kid anymore, but he's like, I see dead people.
Sixth Sense?
Yes.
Yeah, Sixth Sense, yeah.
And it was shortly after one of my family members had passed away. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you talk about triggered. I had to get out of that theater. I was in tears.
Wow.
This probably wasn't the best movie to see right after one of your loved ones died. So that, but I mean, like, even sometimes with sports, because I love competition, I love winning or whatever, like, especially track and field. I ran 400-meter hurdles. So, like, the world championships just happened. I didn't cry, but I could be like on the brink of it, just so happy. Like, if USA does really well, or that Shakari, like, just her whole journey and whatever, like, so I get so into stuff like that. Um, Also, what makes me so in one of my classes, this guy, he never spoke, really talked to me ever. Straight, you could tell, straight guy, whatever. And he would always take my class. And at Christmas time, right before the holiday was going to end, he comes up and gives me a card and doesn't really say much and just goes, thanks, and walks away. And when you open it, was like, thank you for being so motivating and helping me get to where I'm supposed to be. And I
Wow.
know as a straight man, that was very hard for him to, that's not in their nature, typically
Yeah.
thanking another man for whatever. And that hit me hard. Like,
Wow.
it was, I had to stop myself from tearing up. Um, Also, there's a, um, Daily Burn is a app, or like, for you, where you work out, and they hired me for 7 workouts for a series that is not even out yet. They're about to launch it, but they also hired me up for a one-off, so they can kind of introduce me to their people before they do the 7 exercises. And the guy that casted me, out of the blue, a few months ago at night, he just writes, he's all these things come through, and then he's like, thanks, kind of like good night, like, it's because it was late, like, don't bother me, just, but here, FYI. What I didn't realize is they had launched that one off, the one class,
Oh,
and it was 8 or 9 pages of feedback from people who didn't know me because I wasn't on their site. So it was the first workout of me being introduced to them. And if I go through it, it was like the nicest stuff. And I must have been like in my feelings that day or whatever, that made me cry. Like, I literally was on the sofa and I just started to tear up. And it was, yeah, I just was like, oh my God, this feedback is so nice. Like, when I teach normally, I'm not, because I know my worth in terms of my background. I've done celebrity. I've, been on television with fitness. So I know what I give when I teach a class. So I don't need someone to thank me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You don't have to let me know that it's a good class because I know what I bring to the table. And so when someone goes out of their way to do that, it does make me feel awkward, and it makes me like it. I could either be crying or I could be like elated. Yeah.
Saying that, what's the best part of being edgy? What's the best part of being you when you think about yourself and you analyze yourself?
I think God, universe, whatever people believe in, gave me an opportunity to do quite a bit when I was younger. Um, that I that I didn't necessarily have to hardcore audition for. You know what I mean? It's just, certain things just fell into place that, like, I became the face of Valley Total Fitness from 2004 to 2008 because the guy that they were using didn't show up for a live news shot. He got a Tide commercial. And when you get a Tide commercial that's not a buyout, you make money every time that Tide commercial is shown on television.
Oh,
And
wow.
because it was such a good gig, he's like, I'm not going to show up. So literally, he was supposed to show up for like a morning news segment, and he didn't show. And that's how they ended up reaching out to me. And my first um, gig for them was CNN National. And so I was on CNN National talking about the day after Thanksgiving. And we were calling it Feeling Fat Friday because Thanksgiving is on Thursday. And so how many calories you take in a Thanksgiving meal and how to combat that with fitness, how to feel good about eating with your family, but then after the fact, buckling down and really getting in your fitness and workout. And so literally my first time on television for them was CNN National. And then from then I signed a contract. And
Wow.
so I was everywhere. So I was like MTV, the original Career for the Straight Guy, The Apprentice before politics, Trump, but I was training the first winner, Kwame. I was on TV training him. The Today Show, which is huge here. Good Day New York. Ebony Magazine. Like I was everywhere. People were
Wow.
recognizing me, fitness fairs. So I had the ability to taste fame. Extras in movies. Like I was dancing for different people because I was also a dancer. So, I've had an opportunity to do a lot of things and myriad of things, even with masters from NYU, but still being able to be creative and do things that I really was passionate about, which my family did not want me to do because people usually don't make money. But I was able to buy a house and everything like at a young age because I was doing media,
Oh.
and so.
Amazing. My goodness, what a journey.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
No, I was a certified New York City middle school teacher. Like literally that's what I went to school for. But while I was in school, all of this stuff blew up for me for fitness. And in New York City, if you don't use your certification in 5 years, you lose it. So I lost my certification. But I was making great money like in fitness, so I didn't need it,
I see. Ready for another question?
Ready, let's dance it out.
Let's do it. Next question is, what's the best compliment have you received?
Oh, wow. So you might not know her, but there was a show that was really popular in the States called Living Single. And it was like Queen Latifah, Kim Coles, Kim Fields, Vanessa Williams, but not that Vanessa Williams, the actress. And so it was 4 women and they were living together, whatever. So Kim Cole went on to do a show called In Life and Styles. And Brian Rancic, who was the original winner of The Apprentice, her, Kim Cole's, there were like 4 either like TV people that were on the show. And so when I was at Face of Valley, I used to be the resident fitness person on that show. And one time after one of our after we shot one of the episodes, Kim Coles goes, "You're a star." And for someone of her caliber back then to say that to me, it was like,
wow.
I am a star. I am important. I am supposed to be here. So that was kind of cool. I love that. But through the years, I've had so many people push me to be better. And, like Equinox, I never applied to them because I was doing television. And I know someone named Suzette, she was working at Valley at the time. She made sure they knew who I was and knew like my background. So they reached out to me to come work from them. I never had to apply. You know what I mean? It was also her that I did a segment on Fox 5. And because of that segment is how the marketing companies saw me to reach out for me to do CNN. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
like for me doing one gig, it, parlayed itself into something else. So, people putting me in situations that gave others an opportunity to see me, and then from there, book work for, like one woman took my class, and then because she took my class during the pandemic, she's like, "Hey, would you audition for this company?" I auditioned for it, and then they hired me for 10 workouts. I made a lot of money with them, and so you just never know the impact that you have on people, because they don't necessarily always articulate it, but it can manifest itself in different ways.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
When something meant to be for you, it will find a way to get to you. That's what I believe as well. You know what I mean? It can come different, as you said about the lady mentioned to you. It can come different directions that you're not expecting. So that's how I believe, for sure.
Yeah.
3 questions left. Let's do it. Okay, Eddie, next question is, let me see this one. Which talent do you wish you had?
I never really sit and think about what I don't and can't do. I just try to capitalize on what I can do, and so maybe the gift of entrepreneurship. Like, I really admire those that, maybe have come to the United States or wherever with nothing, and then end up owning like 5 buildings and 3 companies and this, that, or the other. Like, that drive, maybe that I wish I had possessed more of that, so I could have done something similar.
I see. What's your star sign, Eddie?
Scorpio.
Me too. Which day?
What day? November 12th.
I'm November 17th.
Close. My dad was November 20th.
November what? Your dad when?
My dad was November 20th.
Oh my God. You know the funny things, I sometimes on the show come out waves of Scorpio. The other day I had like one lovely man from his 18th birthday, 18th of November. So far I had 3 guests on the show that we just find out that we share the same birthday during the interview. Yeah.
What?
Where one lovely man in the US, the first one. The second one was another man. He's Argentinian, but he lives in Barcelona. And the last one was another gentleman who lives. He's South African, but he lives in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So I was like, 3 of us were like, "What? How is possible?" And
they're all amazing people.
I know, very intense, very intense. We are very intense.
Exactly.
And RuPaul's as well. I didn't know that, but RuPaul's as well, November 17th. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I actually danced and did choreographer for the winner of the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race. So BB Zahara Benet, I used to dance for her.
Wow. Amazing.
I've met RuPaul through BB.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So yeah, so this lovely man from Argentina, he said, "Oh, you share the same birthday with me and also RuPaul." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I've met RuPaul a few times because of BB.
I see. 2 questions left. Let's do it. Before the next one, tell me what's the best part of working fitness overall? What for you the biggest joy of it, and the flip side, what do you find most challenging?
Helping people get to their goal, or helping people realize their potential. That's amazing. Like when people are like, I tell people, surprise yourself, do more than you intended. The hardest part about fitness is showing up, because once you show up, you'll do what you have to do, or you'll do something, and something is better than nothing. So show up, so I love when it clicks. That's amazing with fitness. Fitness is also, though, like acting, where who you know and where you are, being in the right place at the right time can also help. So sometimes certain people get put in the forefront in fitness and they're not the best. You know what I mean? And so we're pushing these influencers or pushing these people that, you know, either aren't the most knowledgeable or don't necessarily know how to disseminate the information well. And so I think that's the bad thing about fitness, because you're going to have someone, Judy or Tom, latch themselves onto this person that may not be the best person for them in regards to helping them reach their fitness goals.
All right. Next question is, what was your favorite part about school?
So what I would always say is, so my master's is in English education. And so what I loved about English specifically was, you know, if you majored in math, you're focused on math. Or if you majored in art history, you're focused on art history. Where when you're an English major, you have to read authors from all walks of life. So I felt like it transcended, it allowed me to get a lot of little things and not necessarily be fully immersed in one specific thing. And that's what I loved about English, because, you know, you're learning about what's going on with the slave trade, but then you're also learning about the Renaissance, or then you're learning about reading about this specific person and their journey on how they, Edison inventing the light bulb, just whatever, like, because you're reading books of all different subjects, dates and time periods and whatever. So, you get a lot of different touches from different places, which is always kind of cool.
I see. Ready for the last question?
I'm ready.
I'm sure. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
But, Ed, before the last question, in 2020, where the world went upside down, regarding the COVID crisis, of course, the fitness industry, I remember, my goodness, people, they were literally trying to find a way to exercise, to do online classes. People, they were buying things. Here in England, in London, I remember you couldn't find any more, like, things to work out, like some tools to work out. Yeah, it was very hard, difficult. My question for you is, in your opinion, right now, looking back, what's the biggest positive impact that COVID brought to the fitness world, in your opinion?
I think for me, it allowed me to work in different, anytime you're put in a situation where you have to reinvent yourself, you're learning. And COVID, I feel like, made me a better instructor, because I had to teach differently when I couldn't touch or feel the people. I had to teach differently when it was Instagram and all I could see is screen names. I had to teach differently when a company would hire me to teach their employees via Zoom, and I'm looking at 20 little boxes and trying to get these 20 little boxes to do what I want them to do. I had to teach differently when an app would hire me to teach for their app. And maybe the workout isn't necessarily the type of workout that I would format, but because they want me to format it for their app, I had to be more creative and think outside the box for that. So I feel like those that thrived during the pandemic, which I am one of them, I was continuing to make money. We had to learn to adapt to our new way of teaching, and which always makes you better. And at the end of the day, when you feel as if you're at the top of the game and you can't get any better at what you're doing, then it's probably time for you to move on. Like, I feel like there will be always something that I could learn in fitness. There's always going to be something that will be presented that will allow me to be better, because I can always be in a state of learning.
Okay. Last question is, what is a significant event that has changed you?
I mean, probably my sister's death because she was the first one of my immediate family to pass away. So I was super close to her, and yeah, it completely changed how I navigated and uh, my life and kind of how I made decisions after that.
Um, if you can talk, when you think about her, what's the best memory that comes to your mind right now when you think about her? If is that okay for you to share?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was even before I did any type of television, modeling, anything of that nature, dancing, especially dance. My sister would always be like, tell my parents because we grew up religious, they didn't want me to do any of that because it's, we say secular. And so she's like, he has talent. That she would always say that. She's like, he's talented. You need to put him in this. He could go far. Like that was always her perspective of me. Um,
Oh,
and I really wish that she had been alive to see some of the things that I ended up doing because she just would have been like, I knew it. You know what I mean? Like she was that type of person. Um, because I was able to do some pretty big things. Um, and she's the one that kind of always felt that I could, even when I felt that I couldn't.
trust me, she was there by your
Yeah.
side. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. He could do that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay?
Okay.
Let's start with fear.
Motivational,
Love.
challenging,
Money.
amazing.
I like the way you said.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I had to preface it with taking it all in.
Family.
Imperative,
Sex.
connection,
Life.
live,
Politics.
now, chaotic,
Okay. Religion.
spirituality,
Friendship.
necessary.
Desire.
Oof.
I wish I
Because I
could
don't
go.
want to say motivational, but like I feel like when you're desirous of something, it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual, but it motivates you. But I'm trying. I already said the word motivational, so that's why I wanted to use something else. But it ignites a fire in you to. It pushes you. Okay. Pushes. I don't know.
Okay. Regret.
Don't.
Success.
Conscientious.
Wish.
Practicality.
Happiness.
Everything.
Want to work for New York City.
Me.
Intense. Da, da. One word for USA.
Opportunity.
And the last one now, fitness. Fitness, one word.
Fun.
That was very quick. Fun.
Yep.
Let's
That one,
pretend.
fitness for me is, it's fun. I mean, it's so representative of so many complexions of me, because I've been in it so long, and it's it's flown me here. It's flown me like I've worked with the NFL wives in Hawaii. I was a world competitor in fitness, ranked, first in the nation, fourth in the world with my trio. So I've been to Japan because of fitness. Um, it's just I've been on television because of fitness. I've worked with celebrity because of fitness. So I've done so many things. You know, John McCain and I were in the same green room during one of my tapings of The View, and he's talking to me about politics. You know, Shannon Doherty back in the 90210 days. Um, you know, like, so one time I'm walking through one of the shows, and this is when the boy band was really big, uh, not NSYNC, but the other one. And literally, we're like in the hallway with each other. Backstreet Boys. Yeah. So literally, they're on their way on, and I'm on my way off. You know, Matt Lauer, Katie Couric. I was on the Today Show with them, even though Anne was interviewing me. You know, I was talking with them before I went on with Anne. You know, so like, I've had the opportunity to do so many things through fitness. So I can't publicly, I wouldn't say anything negative, even though there's been some negative stuff going on, but it's an amazing thing. It's something that I'm extremely passionate about. And for some, you know, like, it could be also cathartic. And, you know, some people work out not because they have to, but because it gives them an opportunity to clear their head, you know, just like be lucid and collect their thoughts. And that's why I try not to call out specific reasons why people want what they want when I teach, because everyone wants something completely different. So I always say, like, you know why you're here. You know what motivated you to commit to today's workout. Use that as fuel to propel you across the finish line. Because at the end of the day, your results are predicated on your effort, good results. Great effort, great results. And you decide whether or not you're going to put in a good or great effort into today's workout. So I make sure that they recognize it's on you. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I formatted the workout and made up the workout, but how you execute the workout is on you. What you put into this workout is on you. So that has nothing to do with me. And when it comes to taking credit, I tell them, that's you. I cannot take credit for the calories that you burn. I cannot take credit for the sweat droplets coming off of you. You did that.
The gym where I go, there's a place there written, remember why you started.
Yeah.
Always. When I pass by, I go like, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, and not just remember why, you know, not just remember why you started, but continue to have that evolve. Because once you reach your goal, now it's time for a new one. Or even as you're getting to that goal, recognizing, like, yeah, I thought I wanted to be here, but I actually want to be there. And it's something, and it's attainable. You know, it's not so lofty that I can't get there, you know, but you also want to have that lofty goal there as well. You know, I was in another interview, and I said to the guy that was interviewing me, I go, at some point, Obama said, I want to be the president of the United States. And there was someone around him that said, it'll never happen. I guarantee you. But it did. And so that's what we have to remember. It's, you know what I mean? Like you said, hey, I want to interview Beyonce one day. And I'm sure there's going to be someone in your camp that'll say, it'll never happen. And that's going to be so motivating for you, because you're going to go, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. If you're that type of person, yeah. I'm going to put whatever, you know, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like I'm just going to put everything into play that is going to allow me to get there. And so, you know, you have to sometimes say, yes, I have my short-term goals and I know exactly what I want to do and I know how I can get there. But that doesn't negate or minimize those lofty goals that you have as well. And yes, you may not want to share them. You may want to keep them close to your heart because you don't want that noise and you don't want that negativity to bleed into it, but you should have it, you know? So.
Let's pretend now I'm going to go all the way to the US right now and have a coffee with your best friends, and I'm going to ask your best friends, Define Eddie in one positive word and one negative word only. What your best friend would say?
Loyal is definitely the positive. Like
Very strong.
I always
Very
use that all the time. Like I appreciate and recognize loyalty, like in all its splendor. You know what I mean? Because that's how I am. And as a Scorpio, you probably know that we are extremely loyal, but to a fault. So my negative is also loyalty, because if I don't feel like you're demonstrating it, I cut you off. And I mean, I'm like, you are dead to me. I don't ever want to speak to you. I don't ever want to see you. Don't ask me for anything. Don't even look my direction. Um, yeah, so it's not a good quality to have. Um, but my friends know, like, don't get on Eddie's bad side because you'll probably never get off of it.
wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty hardcore like that. Just yeah, because I would literally do anything for anyone. Like I will give you the shirt off my back. Like when there are homeless people out there, like I go into the store, I bring out and I buy them. Like the other day, probably within the last 2 weeks, I had 3 different juices and I asked him to pick which one he wanted. You know what I mean? So like that's how I am. So I will do that for those that will do that for me. But once I recognize that you are no longer in my corner, or you no longer are desirous of uplifting me the way that I would want to uplift you, then we don't have any use for each other.
All right, the message out there.
Yes. Very clear.
Very clear. Who's watching now is
Very
making
clear.
notes. Who is right making notes? Your friends all making
Exactly.
notes now. Let's play now Eddie and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time. Let's do it.
Okay.
But before you asking the question, what is your favorite French word?
Trottoir.
Which means?
Sidewalk.
Basic.
It sounds. Yeah, I love the way that sounds.
You can ask me a question now, Eddie.
Besides Beyonce, dead or alive, who would you want to interview and why?
Right. Oh my God, now it's a lot of people are hitting my head. Tuk, 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 tuk. Okay, I'm going. Okay, I've been asked this question and I had different answers. But right now, at this moment, this energy we're exchanging right now, and you mention his name, Barack Obama. Oh my God! I will have him one day here, and I can't wait to ask random questions to such a beautiful soul, a man that you can see in his eyes. He doesn't need to say a lot; you can see it. You know what I mean? The real person there. You know what I mean? It's such an amazing person. When I see him talking, when I see him expressing himself, it's so real. You can feel, you know what I mean? You can feel it. You know when someone is literally talking from their heart, and he's one of the rare person when you see him talking, it's real there. He mean it. You know the feeling, the passion, the feelings there. He's transmitting. You can see through the words, through the way he's talking. So yeah, for sure, I'd love to be able to be here talking to him now, and just to be able to say, you know what, it's so I'm so glad to have you here because you're such everyone's always going to remember him like Barack Obama. People know him, people love him, people, they know who he is. People, I'm saying about his emotions, but everyone knows that
Yeah.
it's something. You know what I mean? I've heard so many people talking. When people talk about him, it's like everyone's saying the same things, the different language, different accents, different way of talking, expressing, but everyone is talking the same way when they talk about Barack Obama. So yeah, it's someone that it's here at the top of my list here. You know what I mean? That I can't wait again to have this moment. I'll be here like this. Yeah, I'll be here like
Exactly.
I'll be here.
And I would completely understand why you would be, but that would be an amazing interview.
So yes, I can't wait. You can imagine him like answering random fun questions. Imagine how amazing to see, and it's gonna be so genuine and so real as well that people gonna appreciate that. So yeah, Barack Obama, I want you here. I want you here. Come on, get to you somehow.
Put it out there. You have to put it out in the universe.
It is. Let's come on. Anytime. I'll make time for you.
Exactly. Oh, that's
yeah. Eddie, did you enjoy the interview?
I did. Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you. Thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for being so open. And I think, people appreciate that. People appreciate when people, they're real. They talk about challenging time, beautiful times. I think it's the show is about that. So people expressing themselves, the challenges, the beautiful, the happiness, everything. So thanks so much for being so open and bringing your energy to the show. But before you go, if you can share a positive message, anything that you live by.
What I would want a takeaway for your viewers is, ideally, we would love life to give us honey and sugar 100% of the time, but it won't, and it doesn't. And so what we have to do is say, even when times are tumultuous, or we feel we're at a low point, or it's difficult to see a light at the end of the tunnel, know that within yourself, there is something that can keep you going. And there's someone else that is going through something 10 times worse. And it's not to make that comparison to try to put you above the person, but just try to make you understand that, the universe or God or whatever you believe in is not giving you more than you can handle. My mom used to say that when I would get really frustrated. She's like, God, well, we were religious. So she's like, God's not going to give you more than you can handle. And, I have had friends that have committed suicide. And so I wish that they recognize that even if it wasn't through me, there was someone in our group or in their community that could have assisted in helping them get out of where they were at that moment. And I would love if we have one person that is watching this and they go, you know what, I appreciate William having Eddie on to reinforce, because it's not that I'm saying something that they don't know. I'm just reinforcing something that they already know, that within yourself or within your community, we want you here, you know what I mean? And your job is not over, and there's so much more for you to do. So always remember that you can do it and you can make it, and someone will be extremely appreciative for it, even if they never have an opportunity to tell you.
Amazing. It makes so sense. Sometimes it's so right what you just said now. Sometimes you know things you heard before, but when you hear someone saying again, it's kind of it feels like you are hearing for the very first time, isn't it? Yeah. Eddie, thank you so much, and keep in touch, okay? It was a pleasure. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day.
Bye. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.